III He Qal. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Qal in some detail, and then we'll look at all the other binyan together as a group, because we'll see the same rules applying through the whole set. So first, with the Qal, what I want to do in this module is I want to look at the Qal from the point of view of these three rules I showed you in the last module. Then we'll have two other modules that will deal with a couple of little issues with the Qal. Okay, so what are the rules again, just to review? It's all based on suffixes. If there are no suffixes, we get vowel plus mate or he, okay? So we have a vowel of some sort plus mate or he, and we'll look at the details there. We'll see what vowels are there. If there is a vocalic suffix, the he simply drops. And if there is a consonantal suffix, then we see the yud. Yud as a mater, quiescent yud. Maybe I should say right here, because I forgot to say it earlier. What this means is that if we put our three roots out here, what three he verbs really are, seems to me, is really verbs that have two roots, two real roots. Okay, you got a consonant here and a consonant here. And then over here, if I can just sneak this down, if I remember how to do this. There we go, look at that. So what we have here then is we either have a he, but the he is a mater, right? Vowel he. Vowel of some sort, comets or a segel or whatever. So it's not really a third consonant, it's a he. Here, it's a mater he. With vocalic suffixes, the he drops, so you don't have a third root, a third consonantal root. And with the final one here, with consonantal suffixes, what you see is the yud, but again, it's a yud that's a mater. It's quiescent. It's ceased to function as a consonant. It has gone quiet, right? So you have yud here, but again a vowel. So in all three cases, you really only have two roots. Now the he and the yud are visible, so you can kind of see that they represent or they hold the place of that third consonant. But it's almost as if we're dealing with biliteral roots, I suppose you could say. I don't know if people would actually call these biliteral, but they're not really triliteral in the true sense of the word. Okay, that's just my own thought. Let's now look at the whole paradigm set for Qal according to these three rules. So first we'll start with the forms that have no suffixes. Rule number one. So all the forms I've highlighted here have no suffixes. Okay? The first one, gala, this is the one I had you look at earlier just by looking at the chart in the back of the book. So here we see, again, the rule is what? No suffix means vowel plus mate or he. Some vowel plus mate or he. What do we have here in the perfect? We have a comets. Okay? What do we have in the imperfect? These are the forms that have no endings. We have segel, 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 and segel. Remember, the imperfect is largely a prefix form. We've got prefixes all the way down, yud, taz, aleph, and nun. But only some of them have a bit at the end. So we have vocalic, one there, and there, vocalic suffixes. These are consonantal suffixes, but all the rest of them have no ending. So or rule one applies to all of these. And what we see here is segel. So we have comets here in the perfect. We have segel, segel he, comets he. The imperative, which is built on the imperfect, for some reason lengthens from a segel to a tzere here. I don't know why, but it does. So now we have three different vowels, comets, segel, and tzere. We move to the participle, and we see segel, just like the imperfect, okay? So segel he. Again, this is the masculine singular form. The masculine singular active participle has no ending. The other three have endings, and we'll look at those. Let's skip these for a moment. And finally, we get to the infinitive absolute. And does it have a vowel? Is it a mate or he? Yes, it is. And what is the vowel? It's a holum. Holum he. Now, if you remember back to the very beginning of this whole course, or all these modules, when I talked about vowels, I said you have your vowels divide up according to the maters. You have your he, and then you have your hidik and yud, and then you have your yud mater, Confusing myself. Remember the top of the chart I had He, and then I had Yud, and then I have Vav. These are the three consonants that can function as vowels, and then underneath we had all our vowels. And I said Kamet's He is the most common, and I may have mentioned another one or two, I don't know. But here you can see that you have more than just Kamet's He. We have Kamet's He here. Here we have a bunch of examples of Segol He, and over here as well. We have Tsere He, and even a Holem He. So Mater He can go with a number of different vowels. Now down here with the infinitive absolute, it's not surprising that we have a holem, is it? Because the holem is the marker of the infinitive absolute for the first, is it 3 or 4 binyan? 4 binyan. If you look at your strong verb table, the very bottom, at the infinitive absolute, you'll see that the kal, the nifal, the piel, and the pual all have holem or holem vav, as the marker of the infinitive absolute. So it's not surprising that we have a holem here. That's consistent. The other three, hitpal, hifio, and hofal, have tsere. So it's either holem vav, or tsere for the infinitive absolute. And because this is kal, we'll have the holem. Okay, so that's our first rule. We have a mater he with some sort of vowel, and it's different vowels in different places. Now, what about these two guys? What's happening here? If you refresh your memory by looking at your strong verb chart, look at the kal passive participle. What is it? It's pakud. And what do we have here? We have galui. Well, it really is very much like the strong verb, isn't it? The only thing is we have the yud, that original yud is showing up here. Instead of like the dalet, let me just write it down here. This is, oops, Pe, Pa. Remember the U, this shudak here, the U is the marker of the passive participle in the kal. Pakud, should be a dagash lene in there if I can squeeze it in. So this is very similar to this, galui pakud. So this one's not too hard. This one, gilot, this is odd. Let me change colors here. This is one to remember. Color it in green, I guess. Circle it in green. This one looks like the feminine plural ending, doesn't it? Ot ending, remember that from the feminine plural nouns? Sorry. And also participles, because participles can function a bit like adjectives or nouns. And so don't get this confused with the participle. The participle, the feminine plural participle, active one, is golot. It's got the holem there. This one is gilot. That's the only difference, okay? So I would learn this as a vocabulary item. Just, it doesn't fit the rules. It's a beast unto itself. This one's not bad because it's really much like the strong verb anyway. But this one you want to know just by itself. Okay, so rule number 1 is if there are no suffixes, you have a vowel of some sort plus the mater he. And these are them. I just outlined them to you. You don't need to memorize all that. I wouldn't bother. Just recognize that without suffixes, you have a vowel plus mater he. And then passive participle, your yud shows up. That's this yud I'm talking about, because these were originally third yuds. Other than that, it's just like the strong. And with the infinitive construct, you have this holem vav tav, this thing, and that's an oddball. Something to know. That's the ending. It looks like a participle or a noun, but it's not. It's an infinitive construct. And we've seen other infinitive constructs that really stand out, right? That look like a noun. Remember shevet, first vav, and geshet, first nun. They look like segelet nouns, right? And I guess that's not terribly surprising that it's the infinitive construct that will look a bit like a noun, because, in fact, they are somewhat nominal in their meaning, right? If you go back to, I think it's chapter 22, where I dealt with infinitive construct, we talked about nominal and verbal uses of infinitive construct. So maybe the noun-like endings are because of the noun-like meaning that these things can have. Okay, so they kind of stand out. Next, this is rule number 2. Rule number 2 is about vocalic suffixes. And what happens if you put vocalic suffixes on? The hey drops. Okay? Now just, if you'll indulge me, ignore this guy for a moment. Let's go down here. So, we have the hey dropping, galui. See that? Or galu, not galui. Galui is this guy over here. So a hey drops, and just have the regular vocalic ending, oo. Here are our vocalic endings for the imperfect. The e, the oo, and the oo. And we have tigli, yiglu, tiglu. The hey just drops. So you only have your two roots. You have to recognize your verb by the two roots that are consonants. The yud gives you a clue. Well, no. See, I threw myself. This yud is not the third hey yud. This is the natural ending for the 2fs. Down here, you have no yud, you have no hey. You have no yud from the third hey, third yud. This is the ending that you always have in this form for the imperfect. So all you have to rely on is just the first two letters. Likewise down here, gli, glu. They're all regular except for the fact that you drop the third piece. And what's happening here? Well, this is another anomalous form. What can I say? There are some anomalous forms. Galita. Well, at least you see the a ending. The a ending is a feminine ending, but it's as if the hey became a tav. That's not what's happening, but it's probably an older form for the feminine ending. So to summarize here again, this is rule number 2 with vocalic suffixes. What happens with them? The hey drops. The perfect 3fs is an exception. That's this guy, okay, or this gal, I suppose. It's feminine. Perfect 3fs. Tav is probably an old feminine ending. That's this tav here. Okay, so that one's different. The active participle. Also, the active participle drops hey. Now, I talked about this one in the first rule because the masculine singular form of the active participle has no endings, right? It's pokade. This is the strong form, pokade. So we have our pakad root, and there's no ending on there. So what you get with 3 hey verbs that have no ending, if this is a hey, you get the hey is a mater with some vowel, and that's what it is here. A mater with a segel. But these forms all have endings. And the endings are a, so kametz hey, or im, or ot. And all of those start with a vowel, and in fact the hey drops in all of them. This hey here is not the third hey of gala, of the root. What this is the hey ending of the feminine singular, the a ending that always goes on a feminine singular. Okay, so vocalic suffixes drop hey. No suffixes means you have some sort of, can I cover this up here? You can see under here. Vocalic suffixes have some sort of vowel and a mater. Sorry. Forms with no suffixes have a vowel and some mater, and or some vowel and a mater, and vocalic suffixes have 3 hey dropping out. Then lastly, what about consonantal suffixes? These are the forms with consonantal suffixes. We've got tav all the way through here, right? Tav and then a nun, and here we have na and na and na. So these all have consonantal suffixes, and the rule, maybe I should go right back here, refresh ourselves. With consonantal suffixes, the rule is that this yud appears, quiescent third yud appears. The yud appears, and it's acting as a vowel. See right here? Just like the hey acted like a vowel, it's this original third yud that's appearing. So let's see that in action. Consonantal suffix, ta. What do we have? We have a yud. Here we had kametz hey with no suffix. This one was an oddball, but if we go down here, vocalic ending, suffix drops. Consonantal ending, we see the yud. So this is the yud all the way through here, and it's quiescent. Hidik yud, hidik yud, hidik yud. You see that? All the way through. Everything else is completely regular. Gilitem, giliten, just like the strong verb. It's just that you have the yud as a quiescent. here too. Galinu, okay? Pakadnu, galinu, just the same. Now there are some III He verbs that have a tsere here instead of a yud, but still the yud is there and it's quiescent. Down here we have segol, segol yud. Teglena, teglena, these two forms of course are the same. And here, gelena, which comes from this one here, or this one here I guess. Teglena, again, has a segol. So we have segol in the imperfect and imperative, and we have hidik, or in some verbs, tsere. But the important thing is we see the yud. So again, in the perfect, we have hidik yud or tsere yud. That's over here, hidik yud or tsere yud. In the imperfect and the imperative, we have segol yud. Okay, that's these two ones here, these two sets. One other thing here, the active participle, feminine singular, has an alternative form. Remember, in the last, just a couple slides ago, I said gola is the, let me just go there. Here, gola has the kametz he ending, and the he, the third he of the root drops. Okay, and you add this because this is the ending. There's also an alternative form for this, and it is a form that has the yud. So the yud shows up, and then you add the kametz he. So you have golia. Now, I don't know why there's a dagesh forte in there, but there is. So golia. So anyway, that's really a minor point, perhaps. Okay, last thing here. Dagesh lene is not written in forms with hidik yud. Let's look at that. So forms that have hidik yud here, they do not have a dagesh lene in the tav. We expect a dagesh lene because, like in the tav, not the nun, of course, because the tav is a begad kafat letter, and that's what we have in the strong verbs. But with hidik yud, we don't have it because hidik yud is a vowel, and hidik yud, any vowel is going to chase the dagesh lene away, even the smallest of vowels. Remember that? Even vocalic shava, if that precedes a dagesh lene, the dagesh lene takes off. So it's not surprising. It's just a reminder that that's what happens. Okay, so that's it. So we have our three rules. Let me go back here. We've looked at all of them. We have different vowels that go with the he. I wouldn't worry too much about what the vowels are. Just recognize that the he will show up as a mater, just like this, with different vowels for the forms that have no suffixes. Forms with vocalic suffixes, like an u here, or a e or something like that, the he just drops completely. You just tack that vocalic suffix right onto the two letters that are left. And finally, with consonantal suffixes, so you put the consonant here. I should put backward C for consonants, written the Hebrew way, English letter written in Hebrew direction, if you can bear that. With those ones, with consonantal suffixes, you see the original yud, but again as a mater, there's some vowel here. I wouldn't worry about these vowels here, you know what they are. It's not really so critical. The rest of the features, all down here, they're really just like the strong verbs. We saw a couple of exceptions, perfect 3fs, and we saw the infinitive construct with the ot ending, and we saw the passive participle that had ui, had the yud show up here, the yud with a u stuck between it. But other than that, if you just know this here, just know this image even, these rules or this image, then you have III He's pretty much conquered.